Facts Review presents
Top 5 Horror Movies List of Last 5 Year. It's Halloween time again, and that can only mean one thing: time for a new horror movie list for your viewing nightmare pleasures. For this year's list, I decided to provide you with the top 5 best horror films of the past 5 years, including a look at how they performed at the worldwide box office. Number 5. It Follows. Whether perceived as a parable on the dangers of unprotected sex in the age of AIDS and pandemics, or a proclamation of reclaiming control of life and sexuality amid those sorts of dangers, or even as more about broader concepts of simultaneous risks of intimacy and isolation in the modern hyperconnected world, it's undeniably great filmmaking. The relentlessness, personal nature of the central conflict makes it most of all a story simply about death's inevitability, however hard we fight to delay or deny it, and that is ultimately why it resonated so strongly with audiences. That, and it's scary as hell. Costing just $2 million to produce, this movie more than covered expenses even with an extremely modest $18 million theatrical cum. Number 4. The Cabin in the Woods. This film includes samplings of just about every sort of horror filmmaking you can imagine. If the previous entry added some bloody good gore to this list, then get out your mop for this one, because once the monsters get started, they never let up. It's as hilarious as it is gory as it is fun, and somehow it manages to be one big homage and yet also entirely original all at the same time. The film more than doubled its $30 million budget with $66 million in theatrical revenue, but the studio's portion barely covered those expenses and the marketing adds tens of millions more in the red column. Number 3. The Babadook. With serious capacity to disturb viewers, it relies not just on monstrous terror but also psychological terror of the most frightening sort. Some of the most unnerving and chilling moments are not of the creepy creature, but of the little boy as he seems to lose his mind or lashes out until his mother is losing hers. Amazingly effective with very few literal traditional scares, it relies on tension and unsettling real-life moments to make the darker parts all the more horrific. Budgeted at a low $2 million, the film pulled nearly $7 million in theaters and garnered widespread acclaim as one of the greatest modern horror releases.
I'm sick, sir.
You can bring the boy.
It is real. It is.
Number 2. The Conjuring, supposedly based on a true story, but of course, none of it is seriously true. It's old-school haunted house cinema extraordinaire. There is an instant timelessness to the proceedings, and a visual texture that is John R. Leonetti's career best. If you want to ensure you'll spend the rest of the night awake under your covers, jumping at every creaking floorboard and afraid to look at the closet door lest it seem to move, this is your ticket. At $20 million to produce, the film was a major hit with $318 million worldwide, making it one of the most profitable and highest-grossing horror films in history.
Whatever.
The spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful. Look what she made me do.
Do you want to see it?
Number 1. The Woman in Black, a lush Gothic haunted mansion story in the best classic tradition. Hammer Films had their finest revival entry by far with this gorgeously designed, atmospheric tale. Few horror films have this level of commitment to setup and presence, allowing the tension and dread to grow as we linger in each scene and location. This is one of two films on the list that harken back to good old-fashioned haunted house filmmaking of the 1960s and 1970s. Budgeted at a modest $15 million, the $127 million worldwide box office was an impressive return and led to a far less impressive sequel.
Is by far the worst. But she always comes back. The specter of darkness.